It's DK. Welcome to the Wheel Print Podcast, brought to you by APM Medical Supplies. This podcast is created to uncover the inside game of adaptive athletes, their untold stories of what drives them and makes them tick. So be prepared to be inspired as we discover the trials and triumphs of the human spirit. Enjoy this show. How's everybody today? I'm DK and I am the host of the Wheel Print Podcast. Today marks our 27th episode, which that's not going to wow anyone who is full-time podcasting and got numbers that blow out the roof. But it means a lot to me. It's 27 great episodes. And this one today is going to be of that nature. We're going to, as a Wheel Print podcast, we're going to depart from the typical, national champion, Paralympian, coach, Hall of Famer. But that's not to suggest that this person doesn't have that kind of impact and or this company. So we're going to dive into the area of technology as it relates to mobility, a fairly important aspect of our lives today if you're a wheelchair user. But my very good friend, Ryan Webb, who's the director of sales and marketing for Spinergy, is our guest today. And we have tremendous history, not only in working together for the past 20 years, but in the area of extreme danger type sports. We've had some incredible ski trips, and we're not two dudes that are known to stay on the groomed runs. So anyway, those memories will last a lifetime for me. And Ryan Webb, my dear brother, I want to welcome you to the Wheel Print Podcast.
Hey, our people, how you doing? It's great to be here, DK. Yeah, El Jefe, El King, El Rey.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, look, man, let's, everything's got to start with a beginning. So let's start with your beginnings. How did you come to this world of adaptive technology and equipment and marketing? Tell us how that happened and how we're blessed to have had you in it for the past 20 years.
Going back to, I'm a Colorado ski bum, right? And went to school at CU and raced for CU for 4 years, 2-time national championship there. A lot of history with ski racing since a little kid all the way up through, being on an NCAA championship ski team here in Boulder. And that experience, is just so profound and runs so deep, as an athlete, right? You can relate to that. It's just part of you, and you hope it's a part of you into your career. So here I am, geography major, looking for the next best thing and how to make a buck. Not headed down the geography road. I found a listing for a program manager at a wheelchair manufacturer here in town. And so Sunrise Medical is the parent company of Quickie Wheelchairs. It's only about 5 miles north of Boulder, and complete departure from anything I imagined myself getting involved with, but they needed somebody to run a sponsorship program. And being a ski racer and having sponsors, in my past, it made sense. And I was like, wow, this is, not only do I get to be in a sponsorship environment still and around athletes, but the best athletes in the world at what they do. And so jumped at the opportunity straight out of college, interviewed with them. There's a marketing position job and jumped right in. Dave, I think you were a phone call on day 2 after I got oriented, and I just can't. it gets emotional, thinking back on if I had known then where all this was going to head. And it really is, I think, a stroke of luck for me and my family and just my lifestyle now that I got involved with you, Randy Snow, Jim Martinson, Jim Black, and Marilyn Hamilton. Biggest top hitters you can find at that point in time. And to be, at the mothership at Sunrise Medical and coordinating the whole Team Quickie program was just a thrill right out of the gate. So, I mean, you and I, when did we first meet? Was it a trip when you came out to Colorado and we all got together as a team?
Dude, you are asking the wrong guy because my memory is clouded with all kinds of abuse and it doesn't work so well anymore. But yeah, I was. What year did you start with Sunrise and Quickie?
So they brought me on in 2000, which was right before I had about 8 months to get ready for the 2000 Paralympics in Sydney. And you remember, man, it was game on because we blew up the team from about 13 to 80 athletes, worldwide. We were getting uniforms, we were putting out equipment, it was recruit mode, right?
And I think Sydney was a huge deal, and for myself, for Randy, we had business to take care of, quite a bit different than what you had to hit the ground running and accomplish. I do remember that. That was the time that, we're going to transition here pretty soon into Spinergy, but that was when the wheels really hit the global scene from the U.S. perspective. Myself and my teammates had boxes delivered to us. We thought we were a big deal, man, because it was like kid in a candy store, and they were these new spokes, the first wave of Spinergy wheel, and so that transition to Spinergy is coming in just a minute, but I kind of want to talk just a brief bit about that time at Quickie, because we as a team, I mean, we had Team Quickie coined. That was a brand name, and from that, all manufacturers then kind of followed with their own team. But you had a lot to do with the marketing at that time. And you did have the power of and resource of Sunrise Medical and Quickie. But how were those times? Because it was multi-sport, and yet it was also the everyday user that we were trying to develop, and we did a new culture toward equipment.
Yeah. At the very beginning, the reins were kind of loose on us, right? As the program manager, you were my coordinator for the basketball component. We had Randy coordinating the tennis component. And we had Jim kind of as a catch-all guy with some of the adventure athletes, like Mark Wellman, quad rugby, and kind of, just sort of the lifestyle people. And we just were focused on building that team. Let's make this not only a good tool for sales and marketing at Sunrise Medical, as sponsorship team should be focused on, right, to help the company, but just to really keep that culture going, that Team Quickie, nothing beats the Quickie lifestyle, right? That was the main motivation, really, was to keep that culture going for the company, as a family, involving athletes in production or product feedback, right? And just staying close to the community and having that culture.
Yeah.
And I think we really did that out of the gate. And I think we blew through a lot of money and a lot of product right in the first year. And some people higher up than us said, "Whoa, let's pull this back just a touch and make sure, we're not losing the farm here on all the athletes that we're sponsoring, and the little bit of salaries that we had out there. Me running around to events, it was expensive, and it was a really cool thing. And I think it worked well for the company. But we had to refocus a little bit and remind ourselves that, hey, the idea here is to really bring the feedback from our athletes and have them involved in product development, working with the sales reps and doing events and in services, and really being a part of the overall objective of the company, which is to get more product out there, right? Which you guys are great at, Dave. You got a great marketing mind, you got a sales mind. I was just giving stuff away, right? Let's just do this. I was a sponsorship guy. Give it all away. And you came in with the brilliant marketing plans and ideas that I think we really needed.
Yeah, well, we were strategic. We were looking for influencers and great athletes, right? But inside Quickie, we had Marilyn Hamilton also. She brought she had the vision first, to really put this out there. And guys like Randy Snow and myself, we were just spoiled rotten brats, right? And we were living a life through Quickie then like rock stars. We had everything given to us, everything paid for, and we were making a little bit of money at the time. It didn't seem so little, contractually. And right. I remember one story, and then we're going to move into to Spinergy talk. But we were so spoiled that we had a rental car from a tennis tournament paid for by Quickie, and we were notoriously late to the airport, Ryan, and at that time we just left the rental car at the curb, and we sprinted to our gate with no care or worry about the consequences of that, the cost. But anyway,
they'll find it.
Yeah. So you and others had to deal with, those kinds of crazy happenings with athletes. But it's one of my favorite stories. But so, all right. So we had this tremendous time, and through it all, we're skiing throughout those Quickie days, I want to say. And that was incredible. But there came a time, and you moved from Sunrise and took a job with Spinergy. And why and how did that come down, Ryan?
Yeah, that came down in 2003. I left Sunrise and actually started a hardwood flooring company with a buddy of mine, an old ski coach. And we gave that a go for about a year. It was a lot of fun, reclaimed wood and high-end, flooring. But dude, I was spending so much money. And right then, I just moved in with my girlfriend. And she's like, man, you got to start paying rent. I think in that year I made about $500, in commissions. Yeah. So it wasn't going anywhere. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time. But I got a call one day from Jim Black, actually. And he was, let's see here, I'm trying to think where he was at that point in time, but he had found out that Spinergy was looking for a new category manager for the wheelchair division. And so I got a hold of Josh Anderson, who was leaving Spinergy, and therefore this position opening up, and got an interview. One of the first. I don't think it wasn't a video conference. We didn't have that yet, right? No, 04 was the time frame, but
No.
hired over the phone, right? Quick conversation with Josh and Marty Connolly, who's the CEO of Spinergy, and it was who they were looking for was somebody from the industry, right? Somebody with an entrepreneurial mindset, and just I was young. I was still 28, something like that, and knew a lot of the people, knew everybody from the quickie days, and so yeah, took the job over the phone, and there we go, man. Who would have known? 20 years later, almost 20 years later, I'd still be here at Spinergy and having conversations with my man DK.
Yeah, who
Pretty
knew?
cool.
Who knew? And what a wheel print. That's kind of my little tagline, but in your case, it really applies. What a wheel print you've had over 20. But I think it's taken for granted that Spinergy is associated today with wheels for chairs. Tell us a little bit though. I don't know that the vast majority or the population really understand the company's roots and how the wheelchair division, as you mentioned, came to be. But what was Spinergy before Wheelchair Wheels?
Spinergy has been and still is a bicycle wheel manufacturer. That was the original product. 1989, the company was incorporated, and through the 90s, I remember him as a kid riding and competing as a cyclist. I was like, what a cool company. They've always been kind of a boutique brand, right, over the years, but had some really cool designs and a big name. And, they were involved with Tour de France and sponsors of, European teams and really just a pusher of technology, right? It came out with some really innovative bike wheels, through the 90s. The Rev X was the big one. It was a carbon fiber bladed spoke. And it's 4 blades. I think they might have had one that's 3, but mostly at 4 in the mountain bike and road bike world. And they're just so cool looking. That was our bread and butter for a long time. And then some stuff changed with the technology, and we decided to get into a whole nother concept, which is a fiber spoke. And I've told this story, so I bet some people listening to us have heard this before, but something really cool is my boss, our CEO, was at a trade show and walking around and ended up in a conversation with this kid. And this kid at 13 years old had invented a new way to build a spoke, out of fiber. So you have a fiber material, and then you have 2 anchor points, and how to connect those anchor points, the nipple and the anchor. If you think about a spoke, that's, those are the main components, right? And such an innovative idea, and really made sense to our CEO, and he jumped right on that and brought in this kid. And I remember meeting him when I was still at Quickie, because he came to Sunrise here in Colorado and made a visit with us. But yeah, 13 years old, the spoke design that we still use was created. This kid that came up with it. And we've innovated over the years and developed it and made some new iterations to it. But I just think it's a cool story, because you never know when you land on an idea, right, that's really going to stick and make a company. And that was late 90s. Now what happened to get the wheelchair division pulled in here is that spoke design, and Josh Anderson was one of the guys that recognized this, made a lot of sense as a wheelchair wheel. Because here you have an industry that's blown up with aluminum frames and anti-tips in the sport chairs, like the DK All Court, a lot of just rapid innovations happening. And in wheelchair sports, there's a problem. The problem was wheels were just getting beat up. And as you know, Dave, I mean, you're adjusting spokes all the time, or replacing spokes, or replacing wheels. The contact is getting more intense in basketball and quad rugby, and everything's just getting faster and more competitive and more abusive to the chairs, because you could do this stuff now in the chairs, right? Camber and more, just quicker, lighter weight, quicker with the 18 degrees, 15 degrees camber. Needed wheels that can hold up. And Spinergy came right along at the right time with this fiber spoke. It's just so much more durable than a steel spoke, and lighter weight, and just felt better, right? If you remember your first set of wheels, Dave, do you remember just the rollability of them and how fast they were and smooth?
All of it, and the gratitude, or you brought up how wheels were getting blown up prior to that time. What a bummer of a situation when you're in a moment that the game is on the line and you get hit by a Jimbo Miller, or let's just say a big guy, and it's not one spoke. They take out a whole window of stainless steel spokes and render you useless until you get a new wheel. And so yeah, I think this standout feature that you guys were able to produce from the idea given to you, which to me is just a wow moment by a 13-year-old, that application. And so now that it's just durability is really as big of a deal as the performance that you guys are able to provide. And why don't you talk about the durability aspect of the spoke and how that changed from beginnings to a time where you're at currently?
Yeah, I mean, compared to a steel spoke, is just such a diversion, right? The wheelchair industry just needed that durability first, and fiber spoke's going to be compliant. So you take a hit, and it's going to take that hit and then just return to its position. Whereas a steel spoke is either going to bend or stretch or kink and become a weak spot in the wheel. Like you said, you could lose many spokes in one hit. And so immediately there's an improvement, because you're just getting through a whole game without even having to worry about your spokes. And so, at the very beginning, we brought not only new spoke technology, but just a whole new system, right? So here's a rim. Start at the rim, and it's a double-walled rim, more durable than a single-walled, just a stronger hoop. Then you have a fiber spoke and a custom hub in the middle. And you remember the old beer can hub, as we call it, carbon fiber barrel in the middle with 2 aluminum caps, and the spokes, lacing into those aluminum caps. It was just such a cool look. The whole, not only colored spokes, you'd have all these colors, but carbon fiber, right? Just a cool factor to them. And that was just before my time, at Spinergy. I was at Quickie at the time. And it's just kind of exciting to see some new technology and just something fun and cool, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Something to go with. I guess when we both hit quickly, we were in the neon stage of color. And so you were throwing all kind of, something to complement color on the frame, anodization, whatever it may be. And let's face it, man, a user in everyday life of a chair, they want to look cool, the days of those hospital sterile looking things that we had to make use of, we wanted to kick all that to the curb and make a statement.
Right.
And, so your wheel, and in the beginning, because it was new, it was like, damn, look at that. That beer can hub has an attitude,
Right.
and then add different colors and that, but not sacrifice performance and or durability. You saw that right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So
I still see some of those wheels out in the market. We go to the abilities expos around the country, and every show I see somebody with those old wheels, man, 24 years later. And
yeah,
they're just like,
yeah,
I'm not giving them up, man.
they stand the test of time, and that's the
Right.
statement that was coming out then that we all saw. If you had any kind of a performance brain, you were like, man, these things will outlast any other options. And
Right.
so people might think, okay, cycles, like I knew it was a cycle company wheel. Anytime you took your wheels into a bike shop, they were, oh, Spinergy, or a bike head that just out on the road that new wheels go, oh, Spinergy. But there may be the impression that this is just a ginormous company. Why don't you speak
Right.
to?
Yeah, we get that quite a bit. Spinergy as a company, we're at about 130 people, give or take. And uh, most of those people are in production. We have an amazing production facility down in Tijuana, and just high tech stuff. You walk in there, it's like, man, there's cool stuff going on in here. And then we have our headquarters in North County, San Diego, San Marcos. Um, and there we have, our warehouse, all our shipping. My boss, Marty's there, our controller, our accounting department, our sales department, the bike division. And so in that building, there's about 15 people right now. And, our marketing arm, our brand manager. And so it's such an exciting company to be a part of, right? Because you have this group over here focused on the wheelchair division. You have this group over here focused on the bicycle division. And then there's, kind of a group of people that focus on other industries, right? Spinergy as a company, it's a very entrepreneurial minded company. As small as it is, we like to get out there and in any way that we can, because we have some expertise that we just feel is such an asset, not only to our company, but can be to other industries. So we make a lot of carbon fiber parts as well. And through our history, we've been involved with, kayak paddles for kayaking, the carbon shafts, we make those, and the blades, the whole paddle. We've been in the archery industry. We actually created a brand of arrows that we later sold off. Actually, here's one right here.
I saw it in your hand. Yeah. I was trying to figure out, why is he waving this arrow around?
What is that thing? Yeah, it's actually a pen, but
yeah.
it was our arrow brand, Victory Arrows. And, we sold that off, and still do a little bit of work in the arrow business, but now we make a little stabilizer bar that goes into bows that one of the top manufacturers in the country uses in their target shooting and their hunting bows. So we are a big company because we're involved in a lot of different industries, but in the main office, it's just a small group of fantastic people. We're like a family, and we help each other out. We bounce ideas around, through all the divisions, and really try to all work together as a team. So, even though we have, most of the wheelchair manufacturers in the world buying from us, and dealers and distributors, and people can come to us direct now, still, a family-owned local business manufacturer here in North America.
Cool. Thank you. Well, I'd like to take a minute to tell you about a company that's important to me and my wheel print. APM Medical has chosen to sponsor the Wheel Print podcast and my DK3 events. This is who they are. They give back to our adaptive sports world. I encourage you to look at APM to provide you with your personal care supplies. It just makes sense to support those who support us. Email APM at info@apm-med.com. Mention the Wheel Print podcast to receive your next order, how you want it, and when you want it. APM Medical is a small company with a big heart. Now let's get back to our conversation with our guest. So, in putting my thoughts together, topics, whatever, for this episode, I was curious how the wheelchair sales, the wheels, compared to that internally of cycle wheels. Is which one's which inside the company?
Yeah, we don't get competitive with each other, the two divisions, so it could be that way, right? But we do try to help each other out. The wheelchair division, from a revenue standpoint, is bigger than the bike side now. It wasn't that way. Of course, we were a bike company to begin with. But in the wheelchair world, they're just two different industries, to be honest. We've done so well and hit the wheelchair market at the right time that, we've really enjoyed this industry as a company. One statistic that we realized at the Tokyo Games just recently, the last Paralympics, we looked through, all the teams, all the medals that were won, and all the sports in Tokyo. These statistics are a little crude, but based on what we could pull up, we had 98% market share out of the wheelchair sports. I mean, I don't know another brand that can say they have 98% of the market. And
yeah, no, they
that's
can't.
Sports. That's sports, and so, we know we do really well in sports. There just aren't that many brands who, it's tantalizing, right, to get into it, but other wheel brands have looked at it and just said, you know what, there's a lot of complexity here. It's not a huge market compared to able-bodied sports or other mainstream industries. And so, we've really benefited from that. And we just have technology that nobody can really compete with. We just check all the boxes. And so, in the sports world, we have that kind of market share on the everyday wheelchair side. Again, we're just the wheel of choice as well. People ask for Spinergy, and we're right there on the order forms. There are a lot of other options there. You have just a standard wheel, a steel spoke wheel, or some carbon fiber. You look around the world, and there are all kinds of options out there. But we do quite well there. And so, wheelchairs side or division versus the bike division here at Spinergy, the numbers are pretty tremendous on the wheelchair side. And the bike division, competes with a lot of different brands. And it's an industry in transition. They're just, the innovation is so fast and hard to keep up with and hard to stay ahead of. Just think about e-bikes. How many e-bikes do you see ripping around town, right?
Yeah.
It's every year there's something new. And so they've done a great job, and we have an incredible lineup of wheels now. In the gravel world, we do have an e-bike wheel now. We have a motocross wheel design, and I had a pair of Spinergies on my bike before I worked at Spinergy, and I didn't. Who knew I would be working for him one day? But I was on a mountain bike ride one day before I worked here, and I got a stick in my front wheel that went around and hit my fork, and it just flew right over the front, and pretty big crash. And I got my bike up, and I looked at my wheel, and I couldn't tell where the stick got stuck. Just like, wow, that's a terrible, because of the fiber spokes, right? It just sort of moved with the stick, and no big deal. So the bike division has a great product lineup, and they're working hard right now. So
that example you gave of the stick through the wheel, you came up and maybe you were a little concussed also because uh, it's never good to go over the nose. And anyway, I had to
Yeah.
throw it in. But yeah, and that's that Tokyo. If you did a little bit of research to determine,
Mhm.
but athletes like myself, or or that currently we knew you owned the market. We knew Spinergy owned it. It's obvious and apparent, and the reason is probably a little more involved, and we're going to talk somewhat about that. The brand strength. I recently watched the movie Air, and it's about Jordan and
Good.
about shoes, him choosing shoes over Adidas, and his mother said, you know, that's just a shoe until my son steps into it. And what you've had going for you as well as all the Jordans of the sport have stepped into your wheels, and for good reason. And that influences sales beyond compare.
Sure.
Everybody wants to have what some of those people are using. But the performance, the look, the sex appeal of the wheel, it all is combined into what you're talking about. So I'm curious as to what you think about your brand strength and the how and the why.
I think we have tremendous market share. We have brand strength. It makes it really hard for any competitors to come in because people support our brand, and they ask for the wheels by name. And for whatever reason, maybe it's they want to be a part of it, or they've just heard about the durability, or they just want pink spokes. Whatever the reason is, we're tremendously grateful, and we don't take it for granted. We're always trying to come up with new things to do. Just like Nike. My kid bought a pair of shoes for skateboarding, and he showed me that the swoosh, if you put a little rubbing alcohol in the swoosh, you can change it from blue to tan, right? How cool is that? And so here's a company like Nike that's always just coming up with crazy new things, and now you can customize them. And obviously, there's a little patch on there that's a skateboarder dude. And how, we're kind of like that as well. We want to keep bringing new things out because that's what you have to do, as a business, and a brand that wants to stay on top, as long as possible. And it doesn't always have to be something with the wheels too. We look outside of wheels. Anything that we can bring to a wheelchair that's going to make somebody's life better, easier, or just a cool new idea. Something that we just feel good about, either a new idea of our own or one that we see out there. Um, that's kind of what we're about, is to keep pushing the industry, keep pushing ourselves, and keep giving people a reason to buy our wheels and our products. You got to do more than just colors and a new model here and there. You really got to bring new benefits and cool new things. Right now, DK, when we started out, I think we had 73 part numbers with our Spox everyday wheels and sport wheels. Now we're at about just under 1,200 part numbers. And a big part of our sales now, we don't even have part numbers for because they're all customizations. We sell a ton of wheels every month that are fully custom, right? And we hear it from our market, from our customers, how much fun it is just to get on our configurator and design something totally unique. hub color, rim color, spoke colors, each individual spoke. And, you can see the wheel come together on the website with their configurator, put the rim on, the push rim and the tire and the axle. And, what you see on your screen when you get done configuring a custom set of wheels is exactly what you get. And that's just fun. Not everybody ends up buying those wheels. They just get on there to play around with them, come up with some crazy design.
Well, let's talk about not buying for a second. I have never paid for a set of Spinergy wheels in my entire life.
And you never will as long as I'm here, man.
And because I'm giving all the props to Spinergy and to you, Ryan, but I'm looking at my sweet ride, my Performax chair with the logo that is color coordinated to my hub. I have carbon fiber wheel with a titanium hand rim with bladed spokes, and man, it is the lightest, best wheel I have ever put on my chair, and I put on a lot over time, and I'm eternally grateful that I've never had to pay for it. And so anyway, it's but okay, so we talk sales. There's a balance out there that you have to manage, especially today, between your dealer approach, your manufacturer approach, and now I think moving to a direct sale approach. Why don't you speak to the complexity of that?
Yeah, it is complex. We do sell to all those different sales channels that you mentioned, and we're relatively new at selling consumer direct. Most of our business has been and still is to this day to the wheelchair manufacturers, and it always will be. For a lot of reasons. That's it's easier a lot of times for a person to get the wheels from the wheelchair manufacturer. Everything just comes in a box ready to go, right? And if your funding covers the cost of the wheelchair and the wheels all together as a bundled package, yes, that's the way you should get everything, our wheels and chair put together. So it makes a lot of sense for us to always have, presence on the order form of a wheelchair. And luckily for us, the demand is out there from the consumer base to where most of the OEMs in the world offer our wheels because they know it helps them sell wheelchairs, to be honest. And they put a lot of time and energy into engineering better wheelchairs, right? And if you don't have good wheels on an incredible frame design, then what have you done? And so a lot of people have come to understand that, not only in the R&D and development phase wheelchair manufacturer, but the consumers, that it's a package, right? If you want the benefits of the wheelchair, you got to have something that really complements the design and rolls well and is lightweight and durable. So, it's an exciting component that kind of finishes off a wheelchair design. And so, I think we'll always have a strong presence there. We continue to develop, and we have strong alliances with most of our OEM partners. We co-develop wheel models. We work together to make sure our colors match, or that we're a lightweight option for their overall chair weight goals. And so, we have close relationships. They're our partners, not just our customers. So we'll always work closely, with those teams. But we are, there is an aftermarket opportunity out there too. Somebody has a chair and maybe it's their first chair, right? And they get a year or two into being in a wheelchair, and they realize, hey, there's a better wheel out there, but my insurance isn't going to buy me a new chair for another 2 or 3 years. And so they may go to a dealer and ask for Spinergy wheels, or ask for an upgrade. What are the options? And so that's where our dealer sales come from, and our distributors. But let's face it, this industry is changing. There's a lot going on the funding side. There's a lot going on the provider side. And some people, just like any company in today's world, any manufacturer, a lot of them have a direct sales component. And so we've developed one where people can come straight to us and they know they're talking to somebody that knows the compatibility questions. They know which hub and which axles are going to work on which chair, handroom compatibility, and just putting together a complete package that with 100% certainty is going to work on their wheelchair. And so people come straight to us for that knowledge and for that peace of mind that, they're getting something that's going to come out of the box ready to go. And so, we inventory all the parts to put together the complete set of wheels and kind of turnkey, put them right on the chair, and there you go. So that's kind of a reality of today's business. You got to have the Webb component and the consumer minded approach to sales.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun. It's really pushed us. We have a brand new website that, we're still working out some bugs, right? It's a lot of fun for us to have that tool. And it's really fun for like I was mentioning before, we have a whole configurator. You can get on there and design a set of wheels. So it's been a really exciting, change for us.
Well, that's good. We got to keep it exciting, man, and Ryan, where, in terms of design moving forward, what can happen to the Spinergy wheel? Where are you pushing those boundaries, like currently, to a small-minded person like myself? Like I'm going, man, where else can it go? But I know in your mind, you guys have to continue to go into new directions. So
right.
Is there anything you want to lay on us about, where you're going to set up camp and improve?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we have this carbon fiber expertise and knowledge. And so, we have a carbon fiber wheel now where the hoop is carbon fiber and it has a foam core and has done well for us for many years, since 2015, I want to say we launched that. So it's been a little while since we've been on the carbon fiber, path. But there's more we can do there. And, not just in the wheel, right? So around the chair, we're partners, as I said, with some wheelchair manufacturers. So we make some of the carbon fiber backrests out there and the side guards and foot plates and camber tubes, quite a few of those parts, not all of them, some manufacturers have their own carbon expertise and make their own products. But that's been a nice development for us over the years. And I think we'll continue to head in that direction. What else can we do with this carbon fiber component to our business? And more around the wheels too, front wheels, more carbon in the rear wheels. We just partnered with Sunrise RGK on what they call the CX6 package. And that's a new style carbon rim and a new hub that's carbon fiber. The front caster wheel we make is carbon fiber. And then all those components tie in with, the side guards and the foot plate on the chair. So it's a whole grupo or package, if you will, that RGK is offering now. That's really exciting. That could open up new doors for us. And manufacturers look to us for those kind of components and that kind of expertise and partnership. So, where do I see us in like 5 years or so? I'm sure we'll have other products around wheelchairs that maybe even isn't a wheel. We have the ZX1 power add-on right now, and that's that was a big deviation for us, right? All of a sudden now we have this miniature power chair, batteries and motors and joysticks, and it was such a deviation for us to begin with, but that's kind of the way we roll. We want to bring out products that we feel like could serve the industry and serve the people that need these products and improve somebody's life. So you never know. We're always watching not only what other people are doing out there and where some other opportunities might be, but we like to design stuff ourselves as well. And who knows, man? We could be joining with Elon Musk next and making the next rocket, right?
Who knows?
Every corner's a surprise.
All right, man. Well, I got just a few more things to like kind of get straight, because how does the elite or athlete market compare to the everyday side of things? I would think that more sales are coming from the day users than athletes, but am I right or wrong in that?
Yeah, volume wise, we do more everyday wheels than sport wheels. Our LX model right now is a great design. It's a sexy looking wheel. It's done really well for us, and is available at just about every order form for a wheelchair out there. And so yeah, volume wise, everyday wheels for sure, man. Yeah, and it's the sport wheels. Like I said, we have a lot of part numbers now, and we have a lot of models. And I would say, where is the next innovation going to be within our portfolio? Probably, I would guess, it could be. You see a lot of those front end motor units now on wheelchair, mostly in Europe and Asia, starting to come out here in the States, right?
Yep.
Where you have those little E systems on the front, hook on the foot plate or onto the frame, and all of a sudden now you got your front wheels off the ground and basically handlebars, like a bike. You got power. That's a new challenge for a wheel manufacturer, right? So all of a sudden now you got wheelchairs moving at 15 to 30 miles an hour. And, I know in Europe, our wheels are used in combination with these units. But I think there's like a niche there, right? Something that we could do specifically for that setup. Something that has a larger volume tire or a little bit more, wider rim, things like this, that just make the whole system work better. So those are coming down the pike here for the States, I think, in popularity. And that would still kind of fit into that everyday category.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's really exciting and it's so needed. Where would we be without the Spinergy wheel right now? That's something I just got to throw out, because we're so used to it. We take it for so much. We take it for granted, and being a human being, we take a lot of things for granted. But a wheelchair user has got to look down and go, man, what is driving this beautiful Performax frame? And it's your wheels. So, well, look, it wouldn't be complete unless we talked about what's coming down the pike here in 3 weeks in Texas. The DK3, which is my invitational 3-on-3 basketball tournament, has hit the milestone of 20 years. And it's going to be a bittersweet moment as that torch will be passed on, and I'm gonna roll away from how I currently do business. But more importantly, the only way I've succeeded is through the engagement of relationship and sponsors, and relationships first and sponsorship second. I had the relationship with you, Ryan, and so for the past 20 years, you and Spinergy have been a go-to and premier sponsor for what I do in DK3, and I want to express uh, that gratitude, and I want you to also just kind of tell the listeners, you know, why and you know, give us a snippet of this partnership that I've been so very blessed to have with Spinergy and yourself.
Yeah, I've always viewed you, Dave, as one of the movers and shakers, and not just in basketball, but sports and lifestyle, um, and just a role model for all those people that you touch. And I know that ranges from your local kids program to an event like DK3 that's got the top athletes, in the country and all over the world coming. And your impact, um, on the business and on people and their lives, the choices they make, the lifestyle they choose to lead. I've recognized from the very first chance I had to work with you. And so it's never a question in my mind, whether we support this event or not. Is always yes in any way that we can. So yeah, I mean, we've been with you since the beginning, and a big thank you to you and to the event. I know you're passing the torch this year, but what a thing you've created, and I really hope it lives on, as it is, and even grows and gets bigger. And 3-on-3 tournaments, I think, will only grow, right? Because now you see it in able body Olympics as a sport, and as an event at the Olympics. So keep pushing it, right? I think you've really tapped into something. You've always had great insight, and really, really proud to be a part of it. And
Yeah.
It's. I know you have some surprises that you're going to announce that I don't even know about in Dallas. So I can't wait to hear everything that's going on in your mind, man. But I'm sure it's all great. And congratulations, to put on such a cool event.
Well, thank you. But, this is a we thing. This is a team thing. It's not a me thing, right? So
It's a group. It's an army.
The wheel print, I do see 3-on-3 now popping up in different competitions, wheelchair experiences with IWBF, the International Wheelchair Basketball Federation. It has now become cool. It has now become the real deal. I've always called it the soul of the game. And it shows now, and it will be a Paralympic sport. There is absolutely no doubt. And we and you were part of that. So yeah, it's going to be a big throwdown at UTA, University of Texas, Arlington, one of our biggest longtime sponsors of the event, and in PerformX backyard, another sponsor that's been with me forever in this endeavor. But we're at that time now, Ryan, where I can't thank you enough, but I also want to ask you if there's anything else you want to add to put a candle on the cake.
Yeah. I kind of blew my wad right there at the end and just saying thanks, dude. It's been, we're always going to have a friendship. You passing the torch on the DK3 event, isn't the end by any stretch, right? Because that's what has really brought you and I together, is our friendship first, and we'll keep that going forever and ever, just at a different capacity, and hopefully on the slopes again someday, dude. Because epic snow year this last year, I missed you out there, and look forward to the next time we get to make some turns. Got to keep them shoulders going though, right?
We got an issue with them shoulders, but nonetheless, the attitude's there, the small brain is there, and I want to go fast. It doesn't matter where I'm at in this OG life of mine. But you've been part of it, bro, and I love you. So look, here we are. I want to I want to thank you all for listening today, and what an exciting and educational trip we've taken about the technology of the wheel that we mostly ride. And I want to thank Spinergy Wheels and Ryan Webb for the contribution to our world of mobility. It's meaningful, it's needed, and man, you know, I hope I'm still around for the next version that you can say, hey, DK, check these out. Because I always love those moments. Anyway, so
Yeah.
on behalf of the Wheel Print Podcast, I want to say thank you to all. You can subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, DK3, and you'll find us on Apple and Spotify. You can follow there. Don't miss anything that we got going on with these kinds of episodes and guests. So do the next right thing, be a good human being, and peace. I hope you enjoyed today's show on the Wheel Print Podcast. I invite you to check out our other episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on our website at DaveKileyDK3.com. Special thanks to Dromos Agency for producing this podcast, our lead sponsor, APM Medical, for their support, and Performax Wheelchairs, a sweet ride.